Welcome back! Inside the biggest genius's soundproof diary closet, Professor Calamitous will reveal to us how he intends to use tonight's 3 theme ingredients.
Two. Is this thing on? Seen what happens when fairies eat too many Krabby Patties? They create magical gas. Who would have guessed? Just perfect for the creation of my vast army of evil toys. Powered by ghost energy, my evil army will be led by evil toy duplicates of Goody Two-Shoes heroes. My robot minions grab the best hero from every dimension, then scan them to create an evil master model. Then we send them back home none the wiser.
Krabby Patties, fairies, and ghost energy. How will our contestants' hero duplicates turn out?
I prefer the term perfect evil sidekicks.
Will these sidekicks be better than the original?
Yes, of course they will.
Will the professor shave off his ridiculous mustache?
Never! No, not in a million years. What do you mean you don't like it?
Will the most minuscule contestant become tonight's biggest genius?
I'm not here to lose, so why not just give me the title now? Ah! 2 of them out of the contest already.
It appears that we are experiencing some technical difficulties. We'll be right back after the break.
Hello everyone, this is Nicktoons Attack of the Toybots, which may not seem like very much on the surface, but it's easily my favorite Nicktoons game, which is a series that started with Nicktoons Unite and ended at Globs of Doom. I think this is the best designed out of all of them, and that it's actually quite extraordinary, so that's why I wanted to share it. I hope you enjoyed as much as I did.
Here's your Krabby Patty takeout order, guys. All 3,287,000 of them. Each one of these scrumptious Krabby Patties has been lovingly cooked by me.
Oh, and I did the washing up.
Are you guys having a party? 200 friends coming over to stay for a year or 2? Hey, what are you doing?
My best friend SpongeBob cooked each and every one of them with his own hands, wearing his own square pants. If you don't want to eat them, at least you can...
Patrick! No! I've got to get back in there and rescue my best friend. But how? How?
Defective work unit 825. Reject. Have a nice day, and don't forget to call again when you are feeling better.
I wonder if...
Work unit 825. Feeling better, are we? Good. Then come on in.
SpongeBob, help! Whee!
Welcome to the gameplay. This is a 3D platformer, and from what you're seeing right now, it may look a lot like Battle for Volcano Island or Globs of Doom. And that's because Globs of Doom was based on this game. But even though this game looks very similar to Battle for Volcano Island and Globs of Doom, it's quite different. In spite of initial appearances in this easy tutorial section, this game's more like a Massacre game for kids, like an introduction to Massacre platformers for children. And I know that probably sounds really weird and out there, but I'm not joking or anything. That's definitely what this game's going for. And it seems to have confused a lot of people who actually played it beyond the first level or so, because they were wondering why someone would make a kid's game this hard. But the checkpoints and platforming are perfectly fair. Yeah, it's tough, but it doesn't cheat you or anything. It's not like those really old 2D platformers that want you to memorize the whole game. The checkpoints are super lenient, and it's very well designed. It's a great example of making the most out of what you have, because the game mechanics are super simple, but they explore them to their fullest. So this is our first introduction to combat. Combat in this game is really simple, and it's more like a break between the platforming. We can use a melee attack or we can shoot goo with square. In contrast to the really tough platforming, the combat's super simple, and there's no real punishment for failing. Most of the time I just smash the square button to shoot goo at everything because the goo has an auto-aim. Anyway, here's a mechanic that's really important. We can roll, which is basically a dash and a duck at the same time. The roll lets us move a lot faster, and we're going to be using it a whole bunch later in the game because it's really necessary for stricter timed platforming. Anyway, back to the combat. It's really not something you gotta think about. It's super lenient toward the player. If you die, you respawn immediately. Hey Patrick, how you doing? You don't look so good down there, Patrick. We'll get you out in a moment. As I was saying about the combat, you don't really gotta think about it any. It's super mindless, and there are a bunch of enemy types to the game's credit, but since dying has no real setback, there's no point in worrying about winning or losing. Most of the time you can avoid the enemies. We're using the roll to move faster on this conveyor belt, which is what it suggested to do. You should get used to using the roll now, because like I said, it's going to be really important later. The tutorial level's pretty much over. It's really unassuming and only teaches you the basic controls and mechanics. Doesn't really get you involved in any of the tough platforming. When I was first playing this game, I thought it was going to be co-op multiplayer like the other Nicktoons games. Like, I thought it was going to be a co-op 3D platformer like the other Nicktoons titles, and I was confused why the multiplayer was a weird minigame thing only. But after getting into the game, I figured it out. It's because the platforming is way too hard for two people. It just, it would make two people playing this together hate each other. It'd be like playing Super Meat Boy cooperatively. Okay, maybe not that bad, but it's like Super Meat Boy for kids, but cooperatively. It's not something you want to inflict on someone. So even though it not being co-op might be really off-putting to some people, there's a lot of depth here, in spite of the simple mechanics, and it makes a fine single-player 3D platformer, so don't let that turn you off. You should play this even if you're an adult.
Hold on, Patrick! I'll save you! Hey, this is just like surfing at Blue Lagoon! Oh, only there's no soft sand to land on. Patrick! Patrick! Oh, where are you? Patrick! Thank Neptune I found you!
Was that you?
No, that wasn't me. You've been vacuum packed. I'm trying to get you out of here. Sorry. Hey, little fella. Who are you?
I'm Tack, of the Poo Poo Nunu people. You are the good guys, aren't you?
Sure. It's the beady red eyes that are a dead giveaway for the evil fellas. I'm SpongeBob SquarePants. Nice to meet ya.
I'm vacuum packed. I mean, I'm Patrick Star. What are you doing here?
I've been hiding and trying to figure out a way of escaping these evil toys.
But these toys, they look like you.
Yeah, me and some kid named Timmy Turner. But check out the eyes.
Red!
Jinx!
These things come from something called the Evil Toy Co. After the robots captured and scanned me, I escaped and hid here.
So where's the real Timmy Turner?
I don't know, but now that you two are here, I think I can use my juju powers to find him.
Hoo-hoo powers? You have a plan?
Yep, follow me. I call upon the power of juju to open the door.
Look, a vast and complex toy factory!
This must be where they make the evil toys.
Nice work! You've earned yourself a big tick, Tack.
Toe!
Look, it's Timmy Turner!
They got you too?
Yeah. The last thing I remember was this really strange dream with UFOs picking me up. But looking around here, that was no dream. More like a reality nightmare.
What about your helpful little flying friends? Maybe they could help.
Maybe. Cosmo, Wanda, are you all right?
No! We ate too many processed Krabby Patties, and now we feel all sleepy.
But I need some emergency wishes.
I'm I'm sorry, Timmy. Between us, we've only got enough magic to make sure no harm comes to you and your friends.
Well, permanent harm anyway.
That's better than nothing, I guess.
There he goes again.
The power of Juju tells me that there are other heroes here.
Where?
I don't know, trapped somewhere. Come on.
Welcome to the Evil Toy Factory, which is where we're going to be spending most of the game. The Evil Toy Factory is really, really big, and it's split into 3 separate zones. The Evil Toyco is also where the game really starts to kick in, where the platforming really starts to, start being platforming. There's some spinning gears on conveyor belts up ahead, which you can run face first into if you're not paying attention or you don't know they're there. But they can easily be jumped over. Just don't hold forward too hard, you know, because the conveyor belt's already moving you forward for you. Next to there are these slowly rotating platforms. Nothing too bad here, just don't stand where the piston goes down. And now, the slowly rotating platforms have some of those spinning gears on them. If we touch the spinning gears, we instantly die. Touching any platforming hazard in this game will instantly kill you. You only have 1 hit in the platforming. It's an all-or-nothing kind of deal. The spinning gears are a lot easier to avoid here than on the conveyor belts because the platforms move so slow. They turn really, really slowly. We can grab onto certain surfaces by holding R2, kind of like we're playing Little Big Planet, except without the physics. That's going to be really important later, but not right now. Next is something that isn't really challenging, but you really need to remember. Sometimes there are switches in the environment. And if you're stuck somewhere and you don't know where to go next, it's probably just because there's a switch you haven't hit. The switches look really unassuming and blend in with the background, so just make sure you always look for them. Right here we just busted open a tube that contained fairies. And there are 500 fairies in total, each tube contains 5 fairies. We're going to be collecting them all. They're really easy to find, but there's 100 of these fairy tubes in total, so it can be a little daunting if you don't know where they are. I know where they all are though, so it's not so bad. These spinning top toys can fire homing lasers that you gotta move around in a circle to avoid. The homing lasers can knock you off of platforms if you're not careful, but they're usually not in a very good position to do that. So you shouldn't worry about it too much, just like most of the enemies. If you want to get all the fairies, you just gotta open the tubes every time you see one. This part right here with the platforms on lava, this is one of the earliest mandatory combat sections. There's not a lot of mandatory combat sections in this game, but they do happen. It's also an introduction to the toy block enemies, which take a lot of hits. I think they take the most hits out of any enemy in the game, and they can super easily stun lock you with their hammer. But since there's no punishment for losing, they're an annoyance at best. Like I said earlier, I think the combat's more of a break between the platforming. I don't think it's meant to be a really important part of the game. These trampolines, by the way, that we've been jumping on, they give you a free triple jump, basically, because you bounce off of them, and then after you bounce off of them, you can jump twice. The downside to this free triple jump is that you have less control over your character, because they're bouncing constantly. But that's the basic design behind those trampolines, is they give you a triple jump, but the cost is that you can't control your character as well, because they're bouncing. Anyway, that's it for the combat section. Nothing too hard platforming-wise there. You may have noticed these little bunny enemies. They can grab onto you and latch themselves onto you, and they can do that while you're in mid-jump, which will destroy you. Here's what I would consider to be the first bit of hard platforming in the game. This rotating wheel with rotating lava tubes on it. The lava tubes rotate at a different speed than the wheel, so even if you're moving with the flow of the platform, then the lava tubes will eventually catch up because they rotate faster than the wheel does. You may have noticed those little places with icons of characters like Danny and Gurr. We'll see what those do in a moment. But yeah, this is just more of the basic platforming mechanics so far, really, like the grabbing and the trampolines. It may not seem like too much so far, but you gotta remember, Blue Tongue Entertainment is a good developer, and they know what they're doing in terms of video game design pacing, so it super slowly builds up. And when we get to the space section of the toy factory, that's my favorite part. Hey Jenny, did you know this is one of 2 Nicktoons games where Jenny is playable? This bit with the conveyor belts and lava cartridges, it's important to note that if you touch the lava cartridges even from the side, they will kill you. So this is a part where you might get lost easily. Remember to look for switches. Like that switch that I just hit, it looks like a part of the environment, but it's not. If you're noticing a lot of sharp cuts in the video, like where the characters mostly end up in the same place, but it's very clear there was a cut or an edit, that's because I'm editing out my deaths. I die a lot in this video game, even though I practiced it meticulously, because it's a hard game. You know. So I'm sorry if the edits are jarring and all, but you're just gonna have to deal with that, because I do die a lot. I probably died hundreds of times in this game. It's just part of the experience. I understand that probably frustrated a lot of people, but again, the checkpoints are really fair. It's just that you're usually not going to beat a platforming challenge on the first time around. That's usually not how it goes. That double jump had to be really well timed. When I first started playing the game, I thought that double jump was kind of scary because of how well it had to be timed. But it seems like nothing now that I played the game more. Up ahead there's more trampolines, and we get our first extra section that we can access with the character we have. This one's for SpongeBob, and we happen to be playing as SpongeBob, so we can access it.
Let's go sliding!
Throughout the toy factory there are these extra sections which lead you to unlockable characters and collectibles. And some of the extra sections are just extra platforming, but some of them are entirely different game styles, like this one, which is tongue sliding. And it's very clearly based on Battle for Bikini Bottom's tongue sliding. I think it's really cute that Blue Tongue Entertainment decided to include a reference like that. The tongue sliding in this game is a lot harder than any of the tongue sliding in Battle for Bikini Bottom, though. It really makes you time your double jumps with absolute accuracy, and you have to keep your momentum in mind, of which you have a lot. You have a lot of momentum. You're not going to be single jumping too much, but when you use your double jump is super important. It's really all about timing. It's more like a rhythm game than anything, because you're always moving at the same speed. You just got to make sure you press the jump button at the right time. There are 3 of these tongue sliding sections in the game, and they're pretty tough, honestly, because there's no checkpoints. You got to do it all in one run. And I like them because I like rhythm styled platforming, but I understand if it's too hard for some people. And after we complete one of those optional sections that we can access using only specific characters, we get taken to a Master Model Chamber. The Master Model Chambers contain unlockable characters and art that are being trapped inside an Urkin spaceship for some reason, which I assume is something Professor Calamitous stole. But this is very clearly an Urkin spaceship because there's Urkin symbols all over it. And I think it's a cute reference. The character trapped in this spaceship is Stimpy, and you'll notice he's in full 3D, which means he's going to be a playable character. Most of the time when we enter one of these Master Model Chambers, we're not going to get a new character, we're just going to get some tiny art instead. But I like to enter all the chambers anyway, because I think the platforming's fun. But anyway, this time we unlock Stimpy, and he's now a playable character, which is a little weird. Not gonna lie, I think it's very strange that Stimpy is a playable character in Nicktoons Attack of the Toybots. Doesn't seem like he really fits with the general atmosphere here. It's more these rotating platforms with the lava, except this time they're slanted, which makes them slightly more difficult, which of course is the point. Anyway, that's it for the first video.
Look, it's Jimmy Neutron!
Jimmy Hootron?
Oh, he's a friend of ours. We go way, way back. He's got a big head.
How do we get him out?
I can help you there. Press the big red button.
Leaping leptons! What's going on here?
Why nothing. Nothing at all.
Find a way to the basement. I will meet you there. I have a proposal for you.